jump in.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining today. Gareth, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sure. Okay, great. Hello, everybody. We're getting started here. I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear due to the way that the Teams room was working, but I just wanted everyone to know, in case you didn't hear, there is a Q&A section up at the top. Feel free to post your questions in there during the session. We'll try to get them answered at the end. I'll monitor the chat as well. And at the end of the webinar over the next couple of days, I'll follow up with everyone via email, and I'll share the slide deck and the recording. So with that, Gareth, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, everyone. So my name's Gareth Young. I'm the Chief Architect over here at Levacloud. Also on with us today is Dan Strait, who is joining us from the Microsoft side. Dan, do you want to quickly introduce yourself there?
Yep, thank you so much, Gareth. Hey, everyone. I'm Dan. I'm a product manager in the customer experience team. I work in product management for 2.5 years now. I was first part of the identity team, and now we've expanded and moved towards the security. And have been working for 1.5 years with security products, defenders, and I'm happy to browse you today through the Defender for Office.
Awesome. So I'm going to be taking you guys through a little bit of a presentation, first of all, to talk about Defender for Office 365, share a couple of stories around where we've seen it add value to nonprofits and help protect them against different threats, and give you a little peek behind the scenes, talking about how it actually works. And then Dan's going to be taking us through a little bit of a demo of the functionality. So with that, I guess let's jump in. So when we talk about the current threat landscape, really year over year we see an increase in email-based threats. And to be honest, with all the different nonprofits that I work with over here at Levacloud, email threat tends to be the first entry point for a lot of the different attacks that we see, whether it's a phishing email or an impersonation email where it's someone pretending to be an employee of the organization or an executive or something like that. It's definitely the most common tip of the spear that we see from threat actors, who then generally pivot into more aggressive attacks to use credentials that they've maybe been able to obtain from someone to access the environment and move towards, honestly, ransomware attacks a lot of the time. And unfortunately, this stuff's not slowing down. I mean, you can see from these statistics here, it just sort of keeps growing and growing, from the different angles these guys and girls come in from. Because a lot of the time, the threat actors are actually just spinning up new email domains just to use them for a given campaign, if you will, and then they, abandon them afterwards. So that's why, you're seeing like every 3 days, and I'm sure this number has increased in the last couple of years, 30,000 domains generated just to use in different phishing campaigns. It's pretty insane, honestly. And of course, if an organization is compromised because of one of these attacks, there's a huge cost associated with that. Monetary is part of it, and that's a hard cost that you can put a figure on. But in the non-profit space especially, one of the challenges is the reputational hit that you can take if you're impacted by one of these attacks. You can't really put a price on that, honestly. So definitely important area to secure as part of a foundational approach to zero trust security. Now, I want to take you through a case study of a real world scenario where it was actually myself was working with a non-profit organization, and we used Defender for Office 365 to identify a threat that they were being targeted by. So basically what was happening was the threat actors had figured out a vulnerability in the email system that the organization was using to send out no reply emails. And they had tapped into that and started using the no reply system to phish employees within the organization. And it was kind of interesting because we saw it because we were doing like a sort of security review with them, and we were going through the mail threat protection logs that Defender gives us access to, and we were able to see all of these no reply addresses showing up as phishing attempts because Defender had actually been detecting them, and in a lot of cases quarantining them. You know, maybe the user had reported it as a phish, that kind of thing. It was very strange, which is what sort of posed us to look at it further. And essentially, once we realized what was going on, the customer was able to pivot, you know, find the hole in that system that was sending the no replies and make some adjustments to the security to stop they were actually spoofing it. They'd figured out how to get into the same IP range because it was hosted in AWS, if I remember right. And they had kind of put an email service in that same IP block that Amazon was using for that particular cloud service, and they were basically spoofing. So they figured out a way to block that threat, essentially. And they would never have really noticed unless we had the depth of visibility that Defender for Office 365 gives you across all of the different stuff that's coming through and getting quarantined and, you know, automatically triaged. Now, there was another scenario that we saw where we had an organization that was receiving phishing emails from legitimate email addresses from another non-profit, if you like, in the state that they were in. And this was kind of a tricky one as well. So we were doing, again, an engagement with this customer, helping them take advantage of their Defender for Office 365 and other tools. And we were seeing all this stuff getting reported by users as phishing. Because you get a report phish button, you know, as part of the product, which surfaces it up to the security team, and then you can review it, you know, choose to take bulk actions against different emails that are reported that I'm sure Dan might show you later on. And yeah, we were able to see that all this stuff that was coming in, you know, initially being reported by users, and then the system had kind of picked up on that and it was starting to block it automatically itself, was coming from real email domains, real email addresses. You know, it was passing all of the different verification checks, and it became apparent that this alternate organization to our customer had been compromised, and the threat actor was literally using their real email system to try and phish our customer. And it was a bit of a bad one because unfortunately the initial ones that came through, you know, some folks did click into a form and give some information because it was like literally real email addresses. But the way we were able to respond to that, because it had been getting reported and then the system picked up on the volume of stuff that was coming through and started to block it after the first, you know, couple, we were able to use Defender's capability to basically bulk delete like 1,600 emails within a few button clicks. So that's the cool thing you'll also see about these tools. You know, you don't need to go off and dig around and exchange online PowerShell or anything like that to take bulk actions. It's quite easy to just do it from within the web interface. So super powerful tool set, provide a lot of protection, and it's definitely a key thing to consider as part of your non-profit security strategy. Now, I'm going to sort of take you in and talk a bit, you know, deeper about these tools. So first of all, like, why Defender for Office 365. I would say the biggest thing here is the fact that you don't have to actually install anything to get it to work. It's literally a case of licensing it and activating it and configuring the policies behind it, because it's natively a part of Office and a part of Microsoft 365. It's there out of the box. It just needs turned on and configured. And the other cool thing about it as well is the protection extends beyond email. This is not just an email protection tool. This is actually a full productivity protection platform, I would call it. And we're going to see a bit more of some of the capabilities that come in it here as we move through. Now, Copilot is not the only AI that Microsoft has in their bag. Behind all of these security capabilities, there's a lot of AI and machine learning that goes on using signals from what they call the Microsoft Intelligence Security Graph. It's the sort of web of capabilities behind all of these security tools that shares intelligence across all of the Office environments in the world, essentially. And the way that this stuff works is there's a multi-layered filtering stack that email has to go through before it gets to a mailbox that provides a lot of protections, and learnings that come from that about new attacks against Defender for Office immediately get shared across all the environments in the world. So the more it gets attacked, the stronger it gets, basically. And then from an automation perspective, and this is super important for nonprofits, I think, because with all the teams that we work with, we know how resource constrained they are. They're trying to do a lot of different things. The more automation that we can introduce into their security workflows, the better. And the cool thing is there's a feature called 0-hour auto purge, or ZAP, that is in Defender for Office 365, and it basically removes malicious emails that have gotten through and have been delivered. And the reason that happens is because sometimes the threat actor will send out the emails completely benign. It might have a link in it, but it doesn't go anywhere. And they do that to avoid the edge detection, and then they weaponize the email after delivery. And that's where ZAP kind of jumps on it. It scans through the mailboxes periodically, but also at the time of click, if the user clicks on something, it checks the links. And then it would just rip it out and put it in the quarantine if it was found to be malicious at that point as well. And yeah, super, super powerful capability, and it's all fed with this AI and machine learning. And as I mentioned, this isn't just an email tool. There's protection right across the whole kill chain, essentially. And we're going to talk through some of these different things in here, but basically from the detection and the automation side of it, there's also a lot of great capability for awareness and training, because users are kind of our human firewall, and that all comes bundled as part of the product. And we'll show you a little bit of that as we go here. Now, Defender is a broadly used name in the Microsoft ecosystem now, and that's because really it's a family of products that all rolls up under Microsoft Defender XDR. Now, as part of Defender XDR, we have security capabilities that are aligned with the different areas of zero trust security. So you can see, identities, endpoints, cloud apps, email and collaboration, and the different Defender tools that are aligned to each of those. So that really the thing to know here is that with Defender XDR, that comes as part of the E5 licensing, all of these security tools actually talk to each other. And if you have a threat that starts in Defender for Office, and the threat actor is able to kind of get some sort of a foothold, or they're coming in at different angles and hitting some of these other domains, you're going to see one incident inside of Defender that shows you alerts from each of these individual security tools, rather than buying several products from several different vendors and having 5 or 6 different dashboards to manage, where you're sort of spinning around on your chair trying to figure out if the thing on the left's related to the thing on the right. And then Microsoft Sentinel, which is the cloud native SIEM product, allows you to ingest all of that information, store it for long periods of time if you need to from a regulatory perspective, and build all sorts of automations to take it another step further beyond that as well. Now, what we're going to have a look at here is all of these different areas in Defender for Office 365 to understand, some of the capabilities that are underneath them. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the prevention side of things to show you how this thing adds up to be a complete solution to protect your organization. So I mentioned the multi-layered filtering stack. This is actually what it looks like. So now we're looking really under the covers here. And like I say, with the prevention side of things, the idea is to eliminate the threats before they land in your inbox. The first line of defense that we've got here is the edge protection and the sender intelligence. And essentially, these capabilities are designed to ensure that the sender is who they actually say they are. It catches a lot of the spam, the bulk email, the spoofing attempts, and it plays a large role in phish detection as well. It provides a lot of protection against things like business email compromise or impersonation attacks, which we've seen quite a lot of recently. And it does that by this sort of AI machine learning capability that I mentioned, where it's learning a lot from other environments. Now, the content filtering piece that you see here, that takes a deeper look at the contents of the message. It'll examine things like links, files, as well as the email body as well to try and identify any signs of suspicion. And then after the email's delivered, it keeps checking it. Like I mentioned, this is where the 0-hour auto purge comes in to look for anything that's been weaponized post delivery. It also extends the protection into the actual Office clients as well. Teams, OneDrive, PowerPoint, you name it. Anything that's coming from an email or being opened from a different source gets not only scanned by Defender for Endpoint, like at the device level, but inside of the apps as well. This sort of safe documents capability that's part of Defender for Office 365 looks inside the files when they're open too. So it's super multi-layered. And sometimes an organization might be targeted by different campaigns. There's a view that will actually show you how you're being targeted, if it's coming from a campaign, where it originated from, that kind of thing. Now, anything that we can do proactively is huge, because we always go into things with a mindset of, we might have already been breached. So what proactive controls can we put in place to just lock things down, right? We don't want to be reacting to threats after they've already made it in. We want to do as much as we can up front to stop them in their tracks and stop them from happening in the first place. And that's where the configuration analyzer comes in. Basically, Microsoft has a couple of different levels of recommended best practice settings for your email policies. Standard, where I suggest everyone starts, and strict, which is maybe for those users that you've applied standard to and they're still complaining that they're receiving a lot of stuff through. You want to go through this at least once a quarter to look for any drift in your existing configurations, and make sure that everything's aligned to best practice and that you're using all the up-to-date settings, because new stuff can be added to the tools that you need to configure. And safe attachments, safe documents. This is something that you also need to go in. It just takes a few clicks to turn it on, but it might not necessarily be enabled by default if you already have this licensing. Highly recommend turning that on, just so you can get the end-to-end protection that the tool can offer and you're fully protected. Now, I mentioned the campaign views before. So really what this is all about, attackers can quite easily morph their attacks to avoid detection from conventional security products. And when you're looking at all the different emails coming in, to you it might just seem like separate malicious messages, but actually it's entirely possible they are a coordinated campaign that's been designed to evade detection. So that's where this campaign views comes into place. It uses AI to basically stitch the attacks together and, as I say, show you where they originated from, and more importantly, how the service handled it and whether any of your users actually interacted with it. So this is a really powerful view that you get as part of the Plan 2 version of Defender for Office as well. Another great tool that you've got at your disposal inside here is threat analytics. So basically, Microsoft's research teams are, they're working around the clock to identify threats on behalf of all Microsoft customers. And for anything they find that they believe is notable, they will put it within the threat analytics dashboard for you to go and look at. And essentially, it'll tell you if you're impacted by it, are you exposed to it, and what can you proactively do to protect yourself against it. So yeah, another really great capability, adding to that theme of proactive security that we want to align to as part of, being aligned to zero trust essentially. Now, moving into some investigation and hunting capabilities here, there's a feature called Priority Account Protection, which basically helps you keep track of the users in your organization who might be high visibility or the most targeted. And it's based off of the concept of tags. So by default, all your sort of global administrators will automatically get a tag, but you can add your VIPs to the tags. You can create custom ones as well. And essentially, they will show up throughout the product so that when you're looking at the different alerts in there, you can prioritize your response to those that might need it the most. And this threat explorer that we're looking at here, this is a tool that lets you do really deep analysis on the emails coming through the environment, so that you can, see everything from the headers on it to understand why it was either delivered or blocked, all the way down to even screenshots of what was in it if it was like a phishing message or something like that. It's got a sandbox that it puts that stuff into so you can see it. I mentioned a bit about the bulk actions side of things too. So it's really cool. This is the tool that you would use to do that. And essentially, as you kind of dig into the Threat Explorer, let's say there are a number of emails that you want to delete after you've kind of had a look through and reviewed the policy and that kind of thing. Essentially, what you can do is select them all en masse, put some comments in there, tell it you want to delete it, and then flush it out. It's as easy as that, honestly. So super powerful capability and very, very valuable in that sort of situation where you have had a bunch of stuff come through that you need to get out of the system. But even then, just that ability to kind of go in there and analyze the emails and understand, where they came from, why they were delivered, can be a really, really huge, and understand it if you've got, for investigating individual security threats for sure, but also understanding if your policies are tuned appropriately as well. Now, I mentioned, some of the different automation capabilities. There's one in particular that spans across multiple of the Defender tools that I'd love to tell you about here. So it's called Automated Investigation and Response. And basically what this does is it has predefined playbooks that it follows to automatically investigate threats. And it's basically designed on common scenarios like, compromised user detection, malware detected post-delivery, user reported phish, and you can kind of go in and look at all the different things that it's done for you automatically. And then in some instances, there might be items where it's like, hey, I want to delete this email, approve that action. And that's what some of those different pending actions are that you see there. So this is again, your tier 1 SOC analyst that works 24/7, 365, and doesn't take any sick days essentially. So this is a great tool to have in your arsenal to help your team be more productive. And I mentioned Zap. You just saw it there in action for a second. It will literally just take the stuff out of the user's mailbox and throw it into the quarantine. And you can actually do some custom rules, like if you had a reason to do something other than quarantine, like maybe you wanted to junk it or delete the message or modify a header or subject line. Like there's a lot of flexibility in these tools to kind of take different actions post-delivery. Now, I mentioned there's a whole awareness and training capability within here, because really with this stuff, right, technology is only part of the puzzle. It's kind of corny, but our end users really are our human firewall. And the phish simulation capabilities and malware simulation capabilities that are in here are honestly at this point like best in breed with the amount you can do with it. There's really good options to select from. They've got like several different types of campaigns that you can run against your users, and you can, you know, run it against groups. You can run it against locations. You can target folks that tend to click buttons and become compromised on a regular basis. And you know, when they complete the simulation, like for example, if they do click it when they're not supposed to, it'll automatically assign them training, and it'll give them reminders to do that training. And there's a huge library in here of appropriate training videos for the different scenarios that it'll just automatically assign. And then beyond that, you can actually assign security training without the simulation too now. So whether it's for your IT admins, there's some SANS training that's in there, or alternatively, if you just want to do general security awareness training campaigns, all of that's baked into this as well now. And this is, you know, completely included in that Plan 2 licensing. So definitely recommend looking for it if you're maybe paying for an alternative product today, and you know, could get a lot of value from consolidating down into this along with the other capabilities in here. The other thing they do that's kind of nice is the user awareness side of things. So the users, when you turn it on, they'll get different types of in-product guidance, whether it's like in this case, you'll see a safety tip on here that says that this isn't the email address that Paddy usually uses to send the message. And then, you know, the body, you can see that this person claims they've, you know, really want to look at the confidential document. And what they've done is they've got it so that like when you hover over, it shows you the real link so that your user can validate if it is real or not, rather than showing you the safe links URL. So like if you were to click any URL, really, it would open up in the browser and it would have like safelinks.microsoft. whatever. So they've fixed this so that when you hover over it, you see the actual link, and it's just like another layer so the user can see if it's legitimate or not, along with the different tags and things that we can add. We can also have external email tags over here now as well, so the user can immediately see it's come from external. That can be super helpful too, especially in like impersonation type situations. So that's a little bit on Defender for Office 365. What we're going to do now is transition across to Dan to show you through some views, a little bit of a demo on these capabilities, and then after that we'll come back across for talking about how you can evaluate them, and also for Q&A. So Dan, should I stop sharing so you can pick up the screen share over there?
Take over.
There you go. Awesome.
It's all good. Like you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Right. Thank you. Well, as everything else from a security standpoint, we have the unified portal, the security.microsoft.com. I've already authenticated in a demo environment. Sadly, I won't be able to show you everything from a configuration standpoint, because I don't have rights to access everything. For some policies and stuff, for the demos, we have something already created. If we need something, we usually need to request that to the admins. So this way we keep a healthy environment, demo environment for everyone. So Defender for Office. It's obviously under email and collaboration in the Security Unified platform. And we'll give it a shot with the investigations part. Just a second. It doesn't keep in mind that we need investigations for the past, let's say, month. As you can see, you also have the status. First thing that you can spot on for these investigations, we can see that we have some of them already remediated. So this is part of the automatic investigation and remediation, which is really, really cool. We can see some info on the let's say on this panel with the threat count, action count, the duration itself, This is not the largest monitor screen that I have, but I think I can reduce that to 80% if everyone can see it fine. So would be, so for example, this one lasted for almost 19 minutes. Although it doesn't sound too long, it's quite a long time. This was a malicious mail with URLs, which was zapped, as you can see. So you can, if you want to dig in more on this one, you simply need to trace this in the Exchange tracer, in the message trace. And you can find out, you have the ID as well. In here, it's the full ID, and you can investigate more and understand what happened there. Obviously, some of them that haven't yet been remediated, or maybe an action that we have taken. Here, for example, we have threads found. Let's see if we have anything on it. No, I think all of those are in a way or another way actioned by the automated investigation and remediation. Not all of them can be in the end remediated. Then we have the Threat Explorer, which now is only called Explorer. It used to be Threat Explorer, and this is where the most of the magic happens when it comes to the data that Defender for Office gets from all those sensors. So here you'll find all the data regarding the threats within your environment. As you can see, we have a lot of information in here. And subject of the email received, the recipient or recipients, if the case, any tags, the sender's address, the sender's domain, and all the good stuff. Thread type. And this is just browsing through all the emails that are coming into your environment, into your Exchange environment. So those are not only the threads, but all the messages that all the emails that you have received. Similar to the Exchange trace message. There you have a bit more info on the message itself. Any malware we can see in here from an email perspective. Let's browse in here. It contained a script file, one attempt. We have the targeted users as well. We only have one user that has been targeted within our environment. Let's see the origin of this email. This will be nice to see if we have that. Let's see. Take some time to load. Nowhere around the world. Nowhere it is. So this email came from nowhere. Okay. Not all the IPs can be geolocated, as we already know that. This one was not pinned on the map, it seems. Well, it is what it is. And considering we use our tools to constantly scan everything, all the security of all our customers, we are able through advanced technology like MML, AI, we are able to take all the signals that we get towards our customers, analyze those, and understand if we have things like attack campaigns going on. So this is why we have this section in here. Basically, the Defender products can understand when different campaigns are happening from the bad actors, and we can take preventive measures for our customers, and we can categorize the attacks if there are part of the. So these are the three known campaigns that obviously our tools know about. that this this sender was part of. All right, going back to phishing, no data to show. I think it's the same. Give me a second. This tool does not simply want to work with me properly and keep in mind the date. Let's see. Nice. So we have some information in here as well that we can talk about. Basically the same as on the email and malware. As you can see, the same blades, but here we are talking only about phishing attacks. So those are only phish attacks. On malware was a script. Let's see the campaigns. These are the 3 campaigns that have targeted over the past. You can't say month. Let's go back. It seems that I need to every time to select another date. In the past more or less month, 3 weeks. Those are the 3 campaigns that we can see in here. Any content malware as well. No, nothing in here. Let's see who used the URLs in the malware. Basically, we have the recipient's email address. So these are our colleagues, and we can see what are the URLs that they have clicked and what they have exposed to. So this might be at first glance credentials theft attempt. This might be an malware download, although it goes to a Microsoft website. And so on. So you can have a proper overview of what is happening within your environment. This is great stuff. Basically, the Explorer should be our SOC's best friend, one of the best friends, because here it's all the data that we need to analyze. When it comes to phishing and malware that we receive on email, the work basically never stops. The work of a SOC never stops. The SOC shouldn't work only when a breach happens, but the preventive work that it's behind, flagging, tagging, emails that we find malicious that haven't been automatically tagged because our systems are not perfect, and they also rely on everybody's effort and work to stay safe and to keep us safe. So it's really important that the SOC activity is also proactive. And although we can't see that on our daily day-to-day tasks, it really is. The proactive work is more important than the reactive work. All right, let's quickly go through. No, I don't want to get here to the Action Center quarantine. This is self-explanatory, and you can go and see different things. Campaigns as well. We have talked about campaigns. Threat tracker. Another dashboard to track some threats within our environments. And let's see. You can see as well that we have some tests in here. All right, campaigns, the same. Exchange message trace. I'll just open the admin center so you can see it for I don't know, like a minute max, but we'll get on because we have a few more things that we need to see. If that even loads, I think it takes too much time and it doesn't seem to do anything right now. Yeah, it does. Okay. Everyone knows, I hope everyone knows the message trace from the Exchange Admin Center, where you can start a trace, and with your with the email ID, the ID of the email within the Defender for Office, you can basically trace different messages and understand better what happened on an Exchange level. Attack simulation training. This is a really nice feature that we can use to simulate and help our colleagues stay alert on emails that might go through the defense lines. And basically, this is where the magic happens. I don't have, as I was saying at the beginning, I don't have rights to create a simulation right now, but with you, what it's really easy. And the massive benefit is that we have about 30 or more languages covered with our payloads. And let's see here. And as you can see, we have a bunch of payloads that you can choose from, different types of attacks to help your colleagues stay alert, remain alert. We have also some tenant payloads, I think, or no. This is something that you can create custom payloads for yourself, and those are put in there. Landing pages, login pages, all the stuff that you want to use, you can add it up in here, including you can also create training modules for the people that fall for the different topics. You can assign different trainings in quite many languages that we have on different topics: security, compliance, data security, data protection. You have a large variety of trainings that you can choose to apply on failing the exercise. Right, different user notifications that you can, let's see, that you can use. Also a few languages in here. I'm not sure why. Usually it should display the plus number of languages. I think they don't seem to be that much on the end user notification. English works fine for most of us. All right, policy and rules. Here comes the magic. So basically, here is a very important part of the Defender for Office, where we get all the policies and rules in place for the Defender for Office. Definitely, we don't have time to go through all of those. We have activity alerts. You don't have permissions. Haha, nice. We do have time in this case because I don't have permissions to show everything. All right, so let's see. I don't think I can actually. Oh, I can. Let's give it a try. And severity low, threat management. Next. Let's see if we can understand better what's happening in here and what can we do with the alert policy. So here basically you can all users, you can create a policy for the alerts, for the how the alerts get. Okay, it seems that I can't create it. That's not necessarily bad. Okay, we have something loaded. How your alerts will be automatic labeled, sorted, and treated by the Defender for Office. This is basically what this does. It's really nice. You can turn it on or off from here. It's really cool, but I want to show you something even better in the last 7 minutes, which are the threat policies. Under the threat policies, we have all the configuration that we can do, and we need to constant work on tweaking the security as a SOC analyst or as a general IT. Not everyone is a SOC analyst. I myself, I'm not a SOC analyst. I would say more, I'm a more general IT guy. At least prior to Microsoft, this is what I've been working in. Here is the configuration analyzer, which Gareth was talking about earlier. This is an amazing tool, and basically you can see a lot of things in here, and you can even config some things, but you'll see that we can't do that together. In the policies, in the other sections, obviously. So you can analyze what are your policies doing, how are they acting, and if this is how you decide if you need to take any preventive actions on your configuration over your environment. Anti-phishing, anti-spam in here. The policies that you can create. Let's see if we can go through the wizard together. Okay. All right. Whenever you start creating the policies in your environment, my suggestion is to start less strict at the beginning in order to better understand how things work. And this is not necessary. This does not apply only for Defender for Office, but it applies for anything when it comes to security. Don't go too strict because you'll block a lot of things, and the activity of the people will be interrupted, of your colleagues will be interrupted. Start slow, start low, and go from there. Analyze how things are going, what is passing through, what is not. Assess and go and raise the bar to your security policies. All right, enable spoof, enable mailbox intelligence, easy peasy domain protection, enable, this is for impersonation, and you add different domains there, actions, what to do. For all these, in order for Defender for Office to properly work, you need very well DMARC and DKIM configured. So this is the first step in anti-phishing and anti-malware when it comes to email protection, anti-spam, everything. Make sure you have that well set up. Safe attachments, basically the same. Create the presets. Same for the other ones. Let's see, rules. And the rules, we have tenant block, allow, or block lists, which is mostly used, where you can obviously restrict or whitelist specific domains that you need to work with. And some of the domains, they might be marked somewhere as potential malicious, and you won't be getting the emails. And in this case, you need to whitelist specific and allow the specific domain so that you can work with your customers or your peers or whatever, your peer companies. All right. Let's see, quarantine policies. This is another interesting stuff. Let's see. Limited access, but you can set specific access. Let's say delete. Allow to request and see and preview. All right, so this is it. Really simple to configure that as well, but really important. All those settings that we have in here are important to be well tweaked, and this takes time and patience and a lot of work from the IT team. Considering the time, I'll leave the floor open for a few more questions. Thank you so much for the time today, and I hope this was useful.
Thanks, Dan.
If you want to take over, Gareth.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Let me just jump back in here. So a couple of last things here real quick. So for those of you that are kind of interested in, seeing how you could try Defender for Office 365, there is actually an evaluation mode. And this doesn't require you to change any of your current email settings. Actually, when you turn the evaluation on, it will ask you if you're using like a third-party email provider and which one it is, so that it can show you essentially how Defender would have reacted to any threats that your current email protection misses, and give you some different views on the way that you're being targeted and the types of emails that are coming through the environment. And I will say that absolutely, I've tried this in multiple environments and come across situations where, customers been using a third-party tool and it has missed stuff. And it's only when we've turned this on that we've been able to sort of see that. So this is like completely free. You can enable this evaluation and really kind of kick the tires on Defender for Office 365 and look at some of those different threat explorer and campaign views and some of the other things that we saw here today. And from a Levacloud perspective, we can provide multiple levels of support to your nonprofits, whether it's, just helping you guys out over the shoulder as your team tests and adopts these capabilities, or if you need an extra pair of hands, we can work alongside you as you actually start to use this stuff in the real world sort of thing. So just to kind of wrap things up here, I'll hold for the last few minutes. If you've got any questions or comments, please pop them in the Q&A or the chat, and we'll be happy to field those between ourselves and the product team over at Microsoft here. And don't forget to register for episode 4. We've still got 3 episodes to go in this series. The next one's going to be focused on Defender for Cloud Apps, which is the Cloud Access Service Broker, or CISSP capability that comes as part of the Microsoft Defender Suite. It's really awesome, and it's a great way to be able to block unsanctioned cloud apps wherever the users are trying to access them from without having to rely on appliances at the edge of your network. And that's just like a teaser for a lot of the capabilities we're going to talk about in that session. Tony, anything you'd like to add while we wait on folks coming in with some Q&A here?
Oh, thank you very much for joining. Again, I'll follow up via email with the link in the slide deck. And if we can help anyone, if you have some specific questions about your environment that you don't want to put in the chat, you can just respond to that email. We'd be happy to get you answers. And if I find that any of you qualify for any of the Microsoft funded stuff, I'll send that your way. Other than that, we'll see if we get any questions here in the next couple minutes. If not, thanks again for joining, and we hope we see you in a couple weeks.
Oh, and one final thing, actually. We'd love to actually capture your feedback to see how you think we're doing with these series and, what we could do better. So if you have a second, we'd really appreciate it if you kind of scan this QR code with your phone or click the survey link, which you can see here, and also this will be in the slides that go out. And yeah, tell us, is this valuable? Like, is this the sort of content you want to see? Let us know so that we can keep improving and, you know, bring you guys all the information that you need to better secure your organizations. Man, I wish Teams had a feature where we could have some like elevator music or something right now. Maybe we need to start building that in ourselves, Tony.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Feel free to put that in the survey if anyone agrees.
Thanks, Danny. All right, all. Well, that's time. Not seeing anything come through. Oh, wait, hold on. You got folks. We have business premium licenses. Is Defender XDR included? Awesome question.
Yeah, the answer to that is there is a flavor of it included, yes. It's called Defender for Business, and it is an extremely powerful capability that basically gives you a whole zero trust package in that kind of small business SKU. So yes, Defender for Business, check it out. Let us know if you'd like us to kind of talk to you a bit more about what's actually in there, but it's awesome. It's really powerful, and it's a very good value SKU for sure.
All right, all. I think we're signing off. Tom, I'll follow up with you with some more information about Business Premium when I shoot you an email. Okay. I think we're good to wrap up.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.